For a boozy little sipper that is very easy to drink, you need to try out a Dublin Minstrel. Let me show you how to make it. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the whiskey nerd, and like I said, this week I'm making a Dublin Minstrel, which is a kind of boozy, spirit-forward cocktail, but it's still very, very tasty. It is a riff on a Last Word cocktail, which I think was originally made for and named after a guy called Frank Fogerty, who was sometimes nicknamed the Dublin Minstrel. So when Simon Difford of the Difford's Guide was coming up with this riff, he decided to name it the Dublin Minstrel after Frank Fogerty. It is a riff on a last word, so it has a number of kind of similar style ingredients, but one crucial difference is this right here. Whiskey. Now this here is the Drumshanbo single pot still Irish whiskey from the Shed Distillery. It is a very nice, kind of sweet, kind of fruity whiskey, very, very tasty. If you want to see a review of this whiskey, there'll be a link down below, and I'll put a link up there. You can check it out afterwards because it's a very, very tasty whiskey, and I reviewed it on Wednesday. It also uses some Green Chartreuse and some Luxardo Maraschino cherry liqueur and a little bit of lime juice. Now this initially looks quite boozy and quite kind of spirit forward, but because of all that sweetness in the chartreuse, the sweetness in the Luxardo liqueur, and the natural sweetness you get from that lime juice, as well as, like I said, the sweetness from that whiskey, it does balance it out and it does prevent it from being too strong. Like I said, I got this recipe from the Difford's Guide. I'll put a link down below. You can check that out because they've got some great little cocktails that you can try. But right now I think it's time we make this cocktail. It is a shake and drink, so I'm going to get our shaking tin. I'm going to pop a nice rock of ice into there before we measure out the rest of our ingredients. We're going to start off with our whiskey. We're going to go in with 30 ml or 1 ounce of our Irish whiskey. Like I said, this is the single pot still whiskey from the Drumshanbo single pot still from the Shed Distillery. But you can use any Irish whiskey you want, as long as it's not something so strong and so kind of overpowering it'll dominate the rest of the ingredients, because we're only going to go in with 20 ml of each of our other ingredients. This right here, like I said, the Luxardo cherry liqueur. It actually doesn't have a really super strong kind of cherry flavor, but it actually does have a lot of natural sweetness and some herbal kind of flavors that will balance out the rest of our ingredients. Because next up, it is our Green Chartreuse. This is a very strong liqueur. I think it comes in at 55% ABV, so it's quite strong, quite herbal and quite sweet, so all that extra sweetness is going to balance this cocktail out really nicely. Like I said, 20 ml of that into there. It's going to be quite a boozy forward cocktail, but still very tasty and very balanced, because we're going to add in our lime juice. This is freshly squeezed lime juice. Always use freshly squeezed if you can, because it just has a bit of extra flavor, a bit of extra character, and does help to balance out some of those sharper, stronger flavors you get from the other ingredients. We're going to bang the top on our shaker tin and shake it away for about 30-35 seconds to get it nice and cold. Okay, I can see from the outside that this is nicely chilled, so we're going to bang the top off our shaker tin and we're going to be ready to strain it out into a nice chilled Nick and Nora glass. Just like that, plain and simple. It's going to give us a really nice kind of presentation, but because we're going to serve it in that chilled glass, it will last just a little bit longer before it starts to kind of lose its appeal. And for a garnish, we're just going to go over with a little twist of lime just onto the edge, just like that. And that right there is how I make a Dublin Minstrel. Now real quick, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews every Wednesday, like the review of that Drumshanbo single pot still, and I put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey every Friday. So if you want to see those, make sure you hit subscribe. But now, let's taste this cocktail. Oh, that is a really nice little journey of the cocktail, because as soon as it hits your mouth, you get this big burst of sweetness. You get that bright citrus of the lime juice. You get the sweetness of the cherry liqueur, the natural sweetness there from that chartreuse liqueur, and again, the round out sweetness from that whiskey. But then as soon as you swallow it, you get the herbal notes. You get the herbal notes of that chartreuse. The maraschino liqueur also has some nice herbal notes to it. So that kind of follows through and it gives you a nice kind of journey of the cocktail. I know it is a riff on a last word, but I'm not the biggest gin drinker in the world, as you might have guessed. And I much prefer this to a last word, because it's, to me, a little bit rounder, a little bit kind of richer, a little bit deeper. And I just really like that it doesn't go so hard into the botanical notes that you do sometimes get with a last word. Just it pairs it back a little bit sweeter, a little bit rounder, and to me, it's a better cocktail. But let me know what you think. Do you have a perfect riff on a Last Word cocktail, or do you think the Last Word is, as it is, the Last Word, perfect as it is? So let me know down below. But me, I'm going to keep on enjoying this, and I will see you next time. Sláinte.